Guruji, you can start.
Yeah. Smriti-Purāṇānaṁ ālayam karunālayam namāmi bhagavadpāda Shankaram lokashankaram sadāshivasamarambhām Shankarācārya madhyamām Atmadācārya paryantāम् Vande Guru Paramparām Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsa-Chanūramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. With the abundant blessings of our Acharya Swamiji, we are continuing with the study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita along with the commentary of Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavad-Pada. We have completed last week chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga. It started with 6 questions, Adi Yajna, etc. And the 7th question was about realization of Parabrahman at the time of death. Now, Bhagavan went into detail on the answer to that question. And he concentrated on bringing up Prana Shakti from the heart to the Brahmaradhram at the top of the head. He explained that in detail, and in that context, he also explained the various time scales of living beings here on earth and of Brahma. And the 2 paths which liberated souls take. One is the path which goes up to the Brahmaloka. The second, which does not liberate the soul, goes to Chandraloka, Pitraloka, and comes back. Of course, we didn't talk much about Sadhyo Mukti, those who attain Mukti right at the time of dropping of their body. That is, those great jnanis who have concentrated on Nirguna Brahma. Now, in order to, this is what Shankara himself says at the introduction of this 9th chapter, Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yoga. In order to obviate the wrong impression that is the only way to attain mukti, that is, controlling the prana shakti, taking up through Sushumna Nadi up to the middle of the eyebrows and then taking up further to the top of the head. So all the time concentrating on Parabrahma. That is not the only technique, there are other methods by which moksha can be achieved. So, in order to explain that concept, he starts this chapter. Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yogaha Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Tute Guhyatamam Pravakshyam Yanasuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajnatva Mokshase Subhat. Idam is Brahma Jnana. What is Idam? This means, what is this? The whole subject of Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Jnana. So, Brahma Jnanam is this, what is mentioned by Idam. Vakshamanam Uktam cha Purveshu Adhyayeshu. Whatever has been covered in the previous chapters is being continued in this chapter also. Tat Buddhau Sannidhi Kritya Idam Ityaha. That is, in order to continue the listener's concentration on that subject, that is Brahma Jnana, he is using the term Idam. Shankara goes into detail for explaining Idam. Then why Tu? Tu means but, on the other hand. Vishesha Nirdharanarthaha Idameva tu Samyak Jnanam Sakshat Moksha Prapti Sadhanam. This is not an ordinary subject we are discussing. In order to show the distinction of this subject, he is using the term tu. Vishesha nirdharanarthaha. Samyak jnanam sakshat moksha prapti sadhanam. The right jnana, the right perception, which is the right means of attaining moksha. That is idam, that is Brahma Jnana. And he is quoting from Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita itself. Vasudeva sarvamiti from Bhagavad Gita. Atmaivedam sarvam from Chandogya Upanishad. Ekameva advitiyam from Chandogya Upanishad. Ityadi shruti smritibhyaha nanyate. Asate yen yasata viduhu anya rajanaha te shayyaloka bhavanti. If you talk about any other jnana, it will take you to that place where you will not achieve eternity, immortality, Shaya Lokaha. Those lokas are going to die in due course. So you will reach that place. So these are the various quotations he is using in order to emphasize this idam and tu. This is the great subject of Atmajnanam, which we are now continuing with. Te means to you. Tubhyam. Guhyatamam. Guhyatamam means the most secret, most esoteric. Guhya. Guhya means something which is in a guha, in a cave, very secretly protected. Guhyatamam. The most secret. There is no greater secret than this. Pravakshami. I am going to tell you. Anasuyave is a tribute he is paying to Arjuna. You are Anasuyave. Anasuyave means one who does not possess asuya. Asuya has got meanings varying from jealousy, anger, and fault finding. Now, here the meaning should be taken as fault finding according to scholars. Arjuna is free from the defect of fault finding. That is, if somebody says something, you go and try to pick holes in that argument. No wrong, nothing wrong with countering with the counter argument, nothing wrong. But just to put that man down, you start finding some non-existent deficiency, picking holes. That is dosha darshanam. So that dosha darshanam, that defect, that fault finding is not with. Otherwise, from whatever Bhagavan has been saying so far, he could have found so many faults and so many unnecessary questions he could have raised. He did. That is the meaning. So he understands everything in the right spirit, in the right context. Jnanam vijnana sahitam yat jnatva mokshase asubhat. What I am going to tell you, idam, what is the idam? Jnanam vijnana sahitam, atma jnanam along with experience of that atma jnana, that is vijnana. Vijnana sahitam anubhava yuktam. We saw that earlier also. Yad jnanam jnatva, yad jnanam jnatva. Knowing this jnana which I am going to talk now about, asubhat mokshase, you will be released from inauspiciousness. What is inauspiciousness? For us, many things are inauspicious in our day-to-day life. Many things we consider as inauspicious, rightly, as per Shastras. But what is the most inauspicious? The most inauspicious is that we are getting born again and again on this earth. That is the most inauspicious. So he says that Ashubha, that most inauspicious, that repeated birth, samsara bandhanat, that will release you. That is Atmajnana. Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshāmyanasūyave jnānam vijnāna sahitam yajñātva mokshase shubhate rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitram idamuttamam. Pratyaksha dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. Rajavidya Rajagukhyam is the title of this chapter that is taken from this sloka. So he is praising Atma Jnanam in this sloka. In order to gain the attention of the student, you have to praise the subject which you are talking about. That is what Bhagavan is doing. Not that he is introducing a new subject. No, the subject is there right from chapter 2 onwards. But in order to continue the student's interest on various facets, various aspects of Brahmajnana, he is using these terms, particularly with reference to the subject which he is going to talk about in this chapter. Raja Vidya, Vidyanam Raja, the king among Vidyas. Why king among Vidyas? Shankara explains. Deep Tadishayavatvad, that is extraordinary brilliance. Deepti means brilliance, light. Atishayatvad, extraordinary brilliance. There is no other subject which has so much brilliance as Atmajnana. Atishayena Brahma Vidya Sarva Vidya Nam Raja Guhyam, the most sacred. King among the most secret. Well, that is obvious because if it was not so secret, not that it's a secret in the ordinary sense of the term. It is a secret because it is difficult to grasp and it is difficult to practice. More than grasping, difficult to practice. In that sense, it is Raja Gukhyam. Pavitram Edam Uttamam. Pavitram means purifying. Oi Uttamam. Sarvesham Bhavananam Suddhikaranam Idam Brahmajnanam Utkrishtatamam. There may be many purifying objects in this world. There are Ganga, most purifying. But which is the most purifying of all purifying objects? That is Brahmajnana. Idam, this Brahmajnana, Uttamam Pavitram, the most purifying. Why? He is explaining that. Shankara explains why this is the most purifying. Aneka Janma Sahasra Sanchitam api Dharmadhi Samulam Karma Shanamatraat Eva Bhasme Karoti Iti Ataha Kim Tasya Pavanatvam Vaktavyam. Very beautiful statement he makes, Shankara. Something which you have accumulated over thousands of janmas, dharma as well as adharma, punya as well as papa, which is there on your account, accumulated over thousands of janmas. That entire bundle of karma is reduced to ashes, bhasme karoti, samulam. It will not sprout again. It is completely burned with no. That is why Vedanta, when it is described, it says it is burnt as a seed. When you burn a seed, the tree cannot grow. Bijam. The seed is burnt. So the seed of samsara is burnt. Samulam karma kshanamatra deva doesn't take time. Once you have attained jnana, samsara is burnt away. So what more is necessary to say that this is the most purifying? Anything more is needed to say? Ityataha kim tasya pavanatvam vaktavyam. Then, what more? Pratyaksha avagamam. Pratyaksha avagamam. Avagamam means which you can understand. Pratyaksha means directly, not through hearsay. If I can see something with my eyes, that is pratyaksha. So I don't need any further proof. I have seen it with my eyes. This is like that. What is there to see with your eyes in Brahmajnana? It cannot be seen with your eyes. What does he mean? Sukhadehe ive avagamaha yasya tati pratyaksha. When some pleasure comes to you, are you able to see that pleasure? The object which gives you pleasure, you may be able to see. But the concept of pleasure, you eat a sweet, that gives you pleasure. Sweet you can see. But the concept of pleasure which I gained out of that sweetness, can you see with your eyes? Can you explain it? Can you say that you have got it through your five jnanendriyas? No. It is something which you cannot explain. It's a feeling of pleasure which your mind has experienced. So similarly, this Brahmajnana is, once you have attained it, you know you have attained it. Just as in the other case, you knew you have attained a human mundane pleasure. As soon as you attain it, you know you have attained it. Similarly, here also you know you have attained it. That is equivalent to seeing. Pratyaksha. Dharmyam. Okay. Does it conform to dharma? This Brahmajnana. Yes, it conforms to dharma. Bhagavan confirms. Because in case of pleasures, because we said Pratyaksha Bhagavan, he compared with pleasures. In case of pleasures, they need not always be conforming to dharma. Some may be conforming to dharma, some may be conforming to adharma. Here there is no such doubt. It is all aspect as per dharma. Anek gunavataopi dharma viruddhatvam drishtam. Na tatha atmajnanam dharma virodhi. There are many pleasures on earth, many aspects of knowledge on earth, many aspects of knowledge on earth, which are opposed to dharma, but they have other qualities. Aneka gunavataopi. They have other good qualities. They may have other good qualities, but they are against dharma. So is this like that? No. Then, susukham kartam. It is easy to practice, he says. This is where he is putting a big googly. He says it is easy to practice. We all know it is difficult to practice. Why he says that? He is saying that, for which Shankara gives a beautiful explanation. एवमपि स्यात् दुःखसम्पाद्यं यत्यतः सुसुखं कर्तुं यथा रत्नविवेकविज्ञानी. What he means is, you people are putting so much effort on so many mundane branches of knowledge, acquiring various mundane branches of knowledge. Latest computer science, latest rocket science, latest armament science now in the present context of warfare. We are talking about so many missiles, this, that. We are eager to know all about it. So, we are putting a lot of effort. Now, if you put the same amount of effort in acquiring and practicing Brahmajnana, you can attain that. It is not difficult to attain. But you are not putting that effort. That is the meaning which Bhagavan has in mind, as per Shankara himself. Yatha Ratna Viveka Vijnanam. He is giving an example of his times. Just as the jeweler is able to examine a piece of gem and says the quality of the gem, Ratna Viveka Vijnana. This is good quality. This is the best. This is blue jacket. This is that. Whereas another one, no, not so good. I can give only 80% marks. That one, no, not at all, 50%. How does he do that? He has learned that art, isn't it? So it is possible to learn it. When he has learned it, we can also learn it. So similarly, there are Brahmajnanis among us who have got Brahmajnana. So why can't we do it? That is the also. He is explaining it in great detail, Shankara. I want to read that. Tatra alpayasanam anyesham karmanam sukhasampadyanam alpaphalatvam. If you put in a little effort in all mundane activities, you get only small fruit. If you put most difficult effort, you get greater fruit. This is something which we all understand. दुष्कराणां च महाफलत्वं दृष्टम् इति सुखसम्पाद्यत्वात् फलक्षयात् वेदीति प्राप्तयाः अव्ययम् इति. Because सुसुखं कर्तुम् is followed by अव्ययम्. Now he is explaining both together. He says, in normal human mundane experience, smaller effort means smaller fruit. Bigger effort means bigger fruit. Now you are saying this does not have, does not need big effort. You are saying this. Susukam Gartum Yahati. That means your fruit also will be small. That will be the next argument. No. With little effort, you get great fruit. So see how attractive he makes the whole thing. With little effort, you get the greatest of fruits, avyayam, something which does not change with time, something which does not decay with time. That fruit you are getting. Whereas all the other fruits which we discussed, with greater effort you are getting greater fruit. What is the greater fruit? Which will decay with time. So, susukham kaptum avyayam. Ataha shraddheyam atmajnanam. Shankara concludes. Hence, you must work seriously and with great faith on atmajnanam. That is the purpose of this shloka. That is how he completes nicely. राजविद्या राजगुह्यम् पवित्रमिदमुत्तमम् प्रत्यक्षावगमम् धर्म्यम् सुसुखम् कर्तुमव्ययम् अश्रद्धधानाः पुरुषाः धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य माम् निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मने. Well, whatever I have said in my last shloka is for those who believe with Shraddha, with faith in what I say in Atmajna. But not everyone does that. So what happens to them? Ashraddhadana Purushaha, those who do not have Shraddha, those who do not have faith. Shraddha has been defined as implicit faith in Shastra and Guru Vakya. Normally in vernacular, we use Shraddha as seriousness. Not wrong. That is also a secondary meaning. But when we are talking about Vedanta, Shraddha means indisputably, it means implicit faith in what the Guru has said and what the Shastra has said. Shankara himself has defined it. So, Ashraddhana Purusha, those who do not have faith in Guru, Vakya, and Shastra, Dharmasya Parantapa, Asya Dharmasya, this Atma Jnana. This dharma, this dharma, this Atma Jnana. This Atma Jnana, they don't have any faith. Well, Bhagavan is saying something. Time pass. Nothing to do with us. We have better things to do. This is our attitude. So he says, Ashraddhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa. Hey Parantapa, scorcher of foes. He is praising Arjuna. अप्राप्य माम निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसार वर्त्मने माम अप्राप्य they don't attain me, they don't attain parabrahmam, nivartante mrityu samsara vartmane. Mrityu samsara vartma, the vartma means path, the path of mrityu and samsara. Mrityu is death. After death, where are you going? That is the question. Jnani goes to Brahmaloka and gets moksha after death. But those who have had some attachment to the fruit, they come back. We saw that. So we are talking about those who come back, not only those great karmis, as he said, karmis. Not only those great karmis, even ordinary people like us who go and come back. So all of them come back to samsara. That is the path. After mrityu, you are coming back to samsara. Samsara is the cycle, repeated birth and death. Nivartante. Nivartante here means nishchayena vartante, according to Shankara. That means definitely they come back. Definitely they remain in this path of repeated birth and death. Because they don't attain me. If you attain Parabrahman, there is no question of return. Because they don't attain, they come back. Now, why they come back? Because they are ashraddhana, because they don't have Shraddha in Atma Jnana, for which he is giving a beautiful explanation, Shankara. धर्मस्य अस्ति स्वरूपे तत्फले च नास्तिकाः पापकारिणः. This dharma, this Atma Jnana, and the fruit, this knowledge and the fruit, they don't have faith in that. Nastika means they don't have faith. Papakarinaha, they go on committing sins. Asuranam Upanishadam Dehamatratma Darshanameva Pratipannaha. See how much description he gives for the attitude which this Ashwadhanaha had. Asuranam Upanishadam, the theory, the doctrine of Asuras, he is using the term Upanishad for that also, in the sense of doctrine, esoteric doctrine. Dehamatratma Darshanameva Pratipannaha. They will look at only the body. Body is Atma. Forget about any other Atma. Body is Atma. That is their philosophy. That is their doctrine. Dehamatratma darshanameva pratipannaha asutripaha papaha purushaha. Asutripaha means they always look for mundane pleasures. They always look for mundane pleasures. Sinners, they are Ashraddha. They have to come back. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadam vyaktamurtina massani sarvabhutani nasaham teshvavasthitaha. Now he said he will talk about jnana and vijnana. Now he is starting that. That was preliminary. The first three slokas or introduction, prelude. Now he is starting that. What is the jnana he is teaching? Maya tatamidam sarvam, tatam means vyaptam. The idam sarvam, whatever you see around you, this entire creation is pervaded by me. That you should not have any doubt on. Idam sarvam jagat, all this world which is around you, idam, all this world, all this creation is pervaded by me. Who is me? Avyaktamurtina. You can't see me with your eyes, you can't hear me with your ears. All your sense organs are useless in recognizing me. That is why Avyaktamurti, unmanifest. It is Sati, Chiti and Ananda, which is beyond the sense organs, beyond the senses. Karana Gochara Swarupena, beyond the senses. Karana means senses. Masthani Sarva Bhutani. All these, now this shloka and the next shloka, there is a little contradiction. We have to understand that. It is a philosophy. So philosophy is like that. Masthani Sarva Bhutani. All the living beings are in me. This is the meaning, direct meaning. All the living beings are in me. Means what? We should understand this statement properly because next shloka he says, Nakamasthani Bhutani. So it's the entire contradiction, 100% contradiction. So we have to understand what he means here, what he means there. Masthani Sarva Bhutani. All living beings exist in me. Here, me means Atma. There is no being which says that it has no Atma. Does any being say, I don't exist? This is the argument, standard argument in Vedanta. Does anyone say, I don't exist? All others are existing, but I don't exist. Anyone says that? No. When he says, I exist, he means Atma. Atma only he is referring to as I. So everyone has got Atma. So that Atma is me. So that means all living beings are existing in me. In me means Atmavatvena Sthitani, because they recognize their Atma. Because they recognize their Atma, and that Atma is me. So all living beings are existing in me. This is the argument. Tesham bhutanam ahameva atma ityataha teshu sthitaha. Because I am the only Atma in all the living beings, I can say they are all living in me. They are all existing in me. Nataham teshvavasthitaha. Now he is starting the contradiction, which he is continuing in the next sloka. They exist in me, but I don't exist in them. Nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. I don't exist in them. What does it mean? For an object, Shankara explains it nicely. For an object, this is Vedanta explanation. For an object to exist in another object, that object should stick to that object. There should be contact with that object. Whereas Atma does not stick to body. Atma has no contact with the body. Atma is all pervading. It is not just in one body, it is everywhere. So there is no point in saying that I exist in them. I am existing independently of them. They exist in me is to some extent correct, because Atma is a common factor for all living beings. So to that extent, that statement is correct. But if I say I exist in them, that means I am supported by them, because something which is existing is supported. If there is a cup, if there is an object inside the cup, that object inside the cup is supported by the cup. So if I say I am existing in a living being, that means I am supported by that living being, which is ridiculous. So I don't exist in them. This is, for understanding this, you can imagine if I hold a 100 rupee note in my hand, that 100 rupee note exists in my body. But I don't exist in that 100 rupee note. I don't care whether it exists in me or not. I am complete even without the 100 rupee note. This is the meaning. Then, where he exists, somebody can ask, isn't it? Where is Bhagavan existing? Paramatma existing? If he does not exist, Yataham teshu avastitha. If he does not exist in all living beings, why does he exist? So Bhagavaha tasmin pratishthataha yati Sri Mahimni. A commentator is quoting from Chandogya Upanishad. Where is he existing? He is existing in his own glory. Sri Mahimni, in his own Mahima, he is existing. He doesn't need an external support, as all of us need. Even for walking, we need the earth. For seeing, we need an object to see, etc., etc. We all, our experiences are all relational, whereas he is not having any relation with anything because he is complete in himself and he is pervading everywhere. So, Sway Mahimni, in his glory, he is established. Ashraddhana Purushaha Dharmasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani Mayatatamidam Sarvam Jagadavyakta Murtina Masthani Sarvabhutani Nitaham Teshvavasthitaha Natamasthani Bhutani Pashyame Yogamaishwaram Bhutabhram Nata Bhutastho Mamatma Bhuta Bhavanaha. First he said, Masthani Sarva Bhutani, all beings exist in me. Now he is starting the shloka, its starting point itself he is differing. He says, Natamasthani Bhutani, all beings do not exist in me. Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram, look at my lordly yoga, Aishwaram yoga. Look at the way I am controlling everything. Ishvara controls everything. Controller is Ishvara, Lord, Prabhu, owner. So look at the yoga. Yoga means the power he is having to control. So that power, which is ever existing, that is why it's called yoga. Something which is ever existing only can be called yoga, permanently attached. So Aishwaram Yogam, look that lordly, powerful yoga which I have, look at that. Natamatsani Bhutani, all these beings do not exist in me. What does it mean? Asamsargyatvat asangatam darshayati asango nahi sajjate. Same concept which was brought out in the last shloka. For an object to exist in another object, contact is required. Since these living beings do not have any contact with me, so they do not exist in me. Then you said last time, they exist in me because As Atma, I exist in every living being, but it is a common phenomenon. It is common occurrence. It's not particular to a particular living being. So I said that. Now I am coming to a higher concept, a bigger concept, where these living beings do not exist in me. Why? Because they are all Maya. If I say they exist in me, see, this you must understand very clearly. If you postulate that a living being exists in Paramatma, then there are two entities. One living being, another Paramatma. Two independent, different entities. That is against Advaita. Advaita, there is only one. There is nothing other than Paramatma. So all these living beings do not exist. They appear to exist. So something which appears to exist, why will I say they exist in me? I am a permanent, eternal entity. So a fellow who goes and comes, who is not permanent, why will I say he exists in me? He has nothing to do with me. He is not existing in me. That is the meaning. For this, a lot of explanations have been given by commentators like silver in a shell, which is a common expression in Vedanta. Once you have understood that it's a shell, silver does not exist anymore. Similarly, these living beings do not exist anymore. As soon as you understand, they are simply manifestations of the same Paramatma in a body which does not exist, which appears to exist. False appearance. Hence, nachamasthani bhutani. And Paramatma is without parts. He is complete in himself. He is one entity. If you take a table, it has got legs, it has got a top flat surface, etc., etc. So there are parts. If you take a human body, there are parts. There are hands, there's the head, there are legs. Does Paramatma have parts? No. Because it is something which is beyond our imagination. Satya Chitya Anandam, it has no parts. It is a sort of a power for us to understand. Something like electric power. So if you say, if you postulate like that, if it has no parts, how can there be another part where it is seated? There is no part. It is everywhere also. So, Nachamatstani Bhutane Pashyame Yoga Maishwaram. This is my lordly power. Atmano Yathatmyam Iti Arthaha. This is the truth of Atma. Bhuta Brahnacha Bhutastho Mamatma Bhuta Bhavanaha. Bhuta Bhriti. Though I don't exist in them, they don't exist in me, all that has been clarified. But I support them. They cannot exist without me. Their day-to-day lives cannot be conducted without me. I am their supporter. Bhuta Bhriti. Asangopi sanna bhutani vibharti. Even though they are not attached to me, I am not attached to them. There is no contact, but I support them. न च भूतस्थः यथोक्तेन न्यायेन दर्शितत्वात् भूतस्थ अनुपपत्तेः Bhutabhrata, nacha bhutasthaha. I am not in them. I am not in the living beings, but I support them. I am not in those beings, but I support them. Mama atma bhuta bhavanaha. Mama atma. All these living beings are my atma. Here there is an explanation required. Shankara explains it nicely. When you say my atma, when Paramatma says my atma, that means there are two things again. He and his atma. We are talking about only one atma. Then what is the question of my atma? What is my? Mama. So he says that is only for explanation at our level. Because I am saying my atma. I am thinking I have an atma which is independent of another person's atma, isn't it? That is why we maintain our ahankara, individuality. So to speak our language, he is using the term my atma, otherwise it has no meaning. Shankara has gone into detail on this. कथं तु पुनः उच्यते असौ मम आत्मा यदि Vibhajya dehadi sanghatam tasmin ahankaram madhyaropya. Because all these living beings think they are different from each other. Lokabuddhim anusaran vyabdishati mama atma iti. To speak in the language of the masses, he is using the term mama atma. न पुनः आत्मनः आत्मा अन्यः इति लोकवत् अजानन्. Don't misunderstand. There is Atma of Atma. Because Atma is talking to us and he says my Atma. That means there is an Atma for the Atma. So that is not the meaning. Don't misunderstand. Bhuta Bhavanaha. Bhavanaha means protecting as well as creating. Utpadayati Vardhayati. He is creating, he is protecting, he is allowing them to grow. That is Bhuta Bhavana. He is creating, he is protecting, he is supporting all that has been mentioned. Bhuta Vrita, Bhuta Bhavana. So this we must understand. Once you have understood this, the basic jnana has come to us. That means we have no existence, only Paramatma has existence, and it is Paramatma who is supporting us. We are thinking we have some power, we are able to do this, we are able to do that, and we seek more power. So all that has no meaning. That is the intention of this jnana. यथा आकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गो महान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्यानीत्युपधारयेत्. Now, in order to make this concept clear, he is giving an example. This concept of Paramatma being all pervading and all these living beings are merely an illusion, in order to make that clear. And both are not connected. There is no contact. He said, no? Asangitva, he said. So, in order to make that clear, he is using this example. Yatha akashasthitaha nityam vayuhu sarvatragaha mahan. Vayuhu, the air, the vayu mandala, which is surrounding us, the air which is surrounding us. As all of us know, the air is not there up to all the height. It is there only up to some height. Beyond that, there is no air. We know all that. But as far as we are concerned, as far as Earth is concerned, Earth is surrounded by air, the region of air. Sarvatragaha. It is there everywhere around us. Nityam. It is not as if it was there yesterday, it will not be there tomorrow. No. All the time it is there around us. Akashasthitaha. Where is it established, this Vayu? This is established in space. What is there around us is space. Space is there and Vayu keeps moving. The very, that is why this example is very appropriate. Vayu is not stagnant. By nature, Vayu is chala. It keeps on moving from place to place. It is there everywhere, but it keeps moving. So, similarly, Paramatma is always compared to Vyoma. Parame Vyoman Pratishthitam. So, it is there in the space. Because space is everywhere. Vayu is only up to some height. Beyond that, space is there. There is no place without space. So, when there is space, this Vayu keeps occupying that space and keeps moving. Similarly, the living beings occupy this space of Paramatma and keep moving. They don't remain in one position. They take this birth, they go to some other birth, they come back, and so on. They keep moving. Whereas that Akasha is permanent and everywhere. Yatha Akasha Sthito Nityam Vayuhu Sarvatragaha Mahan. It is Mahan because it is very powerful, isn't it? Everywhere. It is everywhere. Mahan Parimanakaha by uh, measurement. By measurement, it is Mahan because the measure of air, or look at the extent of air all around you. It is Maha. Tatha sarvani bhutani masthani iti upadharaya. Similarly, yatha tatha, in the same manner, sarvani bhutani, all the living beings, all, whether it is an insect, whether it is a worm, whether it is an animal, whether it is a human being, whether it is a deva, all created beings, Matsthani, they are all in me. I said, no, they are all in me. So now he is giving an example. Iti upadharaya, learn, understand that this is the example. Just as air exists in space, all these beings exist in me. Though they don't exist in me because they are not, they are only illusions. That is a higher thought. But at the lower level, they exist in me, they appear to exist in me, like Vayu. न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थो ममात्मा भूतभावनः यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यम् वायुः सर्वत्र गो महान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम् हे कौन्तेय Sarvabhutani, all beings without any exception, Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. They Mamikam Yanti Kalpakshaye Punaha. We should take it together with that. Let us take Kalpakshaya first. Kalpa is the day of Brahma, we saw earlier. One day of Brahma. When night comes, what does he do? Brahma dissolves all the creation up to Sarvaloka, and all the living beings get dissolved in him. We saw that. That is what he is mentioning. Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. They attain my Prakriti, my Maya power. Because they don't disappear in total. They subsist in me, in my Maya. Of course, they subsist in Brahma, but Brahma himself is a creation of Paramatma. So they subsist in Paramatma. Sarva Bhutani, all living beings. Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. They come back to my Prakriti at the end of Kalpa, Kalpakshaye. Punaha Tane Kalpadau Aham Visrijami. Then at the beginning of Kalpa, that means at the time of daybreak of Brahma, I again release them, Visrijami, Kalpadau, at the beginning of Kalpa. I release all of them. I set them free for birth again. This is how this cycle continues. Prakriti means Trigunatmikam Prakritim. Prakriti consisting of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So, so that Maya, which has these three gunas, they come back to that Maya stage, though in a very subtle form. They don't lose their individuality, because if they lose their individuality, then they will not come back. They come back because they retain their individuality with all these three gunas. प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात्. Same thought he is explaining in greater detail. Swam prakritim avashtabhya. Using my power of prakriti, of maya, that is my power, constantly with me. Punah punaha visrijami imam bhutagramam. Imam bhutagramam. This group of beings, this host of beings, Punah punaha visrijami. Again and again, I set them free, I release them. Because this happens every Brahma's day, isn't it? He is talking about Brahma's day. We are all going and coming in a very short time. So he is not talking about that. For that, he is not that there are other powers of Maya which takes care of this, our going and coming. He is talking about what happened at the time of Pralaya, when we all disappear and we all come back. Now that stage is what is being described. He says, using my power of Prakriti, Swam Prakritim Avashtabhya, resorting to my Prakriti, Punah Punaha Yamam Bhutagramam Visrijami. Again and again, I keep releasing this host of bhutas, beings. Kritsnam, entire Bhutagramam. It is not as if I keep something for later use, no. Entire Kritsnam. Avasham Prakriter Vasad. This Bhutagramam, what is the quality of this Bhutagramam? This quality of these beings. Prakriter Vasad Avasham. They are subject to the sway of Prakriti. They are subject to the sway of Maya. Avasham. They don't have any self-control. They are under the sway of Prakriti. Avidyadi doshaihi aswatantram paravashi kritam. Because they are suffering from avidya and other similar faults, avidyadi doshaihi, paravashi kritam. They have lost their independence. They have become dependent. Aswatantram. Prakritehe vashat, swabhava vashat. Because of their innate nature, which is avidya based, they have to come back. There is no question about it. That is why they come back, he is giving a reason. We know that in the sense that they have not attained moksha. Why they have not attained moksha? Because of avidya. Bhutagramam prakritaha jatam. That means the entire host of beings was born out of Prakriti and they come back to Prakriti. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrijamyaham prakritim swam avashtabhyat visrijami punah punaha bhutagrama mimam kritsnam avasham prakritirvashat अचमां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीन वदासीन प्रसक्तं तेषु कर्मसु. Now, in the previous sloka, when Bhagavan says, I release them, they come back to me, etc., etc., it denotes a certain action, isn't it? I release means I perform the action of releasing, isn't it? So does Paramatma do all this? Does he do actions? We thought he is actionless. He is only Sati Chiti Anandam with no action. So he is explaining that concept. Nachamam tani karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, hey Arjuna. Tani karmani, those karmas. Which karmas? Bhutagramasya vishamasarga nimittani karmani. Because every living being comes back in a different format. Look at that. Crores of living beings. At the beginning of Kalpa, they don't come back in some random manner. It's not as if all are born as human beings. No. Some are born as insects, some are born as worms, some are born in Devaloka, some are born in Prithvi, some are born in Patalaloka. I mean, endless variety. So that means a lot of karma, isn't it? If everyone has to be assigned a particular place in a particular format, then what is the extent of karma? That is the Sani Karmani. Bhutagramasya Vishamasarga Nimittani Karmani. To give them individual birth, that karma. They don't bind me. Sani Karmani Mam Na Nibadhanti. Don't think that it is like a human karma. Every karma we perform binds us. We have been seeing that. Bondage is common to all karma, whether it is a punya karma or papa karma. We reap the fruit of punya or papa, but that is the bondage. Punya and papa are the bondage. Every karma creates that. Why? Because we think that we are doing the karma, isn't it? The ownership of the karma is with us. If you also take this attitude, Nachamam dane karmani nabandhananti, you also will become free. He is explaining that. But Shankara is explaining that. If you take that attitude, Ritamamdani karmani labadhanti. Those karmas do not bind me. Like Bhagavan is saying that, but we cannot say that. Udatena vadatena vasaktam teshu karmasu. Then these karmas are all happening in my presence. All these karmas are happening in my presence. All these living beings are born again at the beginning of Kalpa. That is happening right in front of me. It's my power. So, how can I say they don't bind me? Yes, because Udasenavat Asenam. Udasena means indifferent. I am indifferent to that. Look at that. If you are indifferent to your karma, indifference does not mean doing it with half-hearted seriousness, not that indifference. Indifference in respect of ownership. I don't own that karma. Karma is owned by Bhagavan. I am only a good instrument. I will perform the karma to the best of my ability. If that is our attitude, Udatenavat Asenam. Bhagavan says that. He is able to say that. I am doing all these karmas in an indifferent manner. यथा उदासीनः उपेक्षकः कश्चित् तद्वत् आसीनम् indifferent, unattached, not clinging to the fruits of, not having the conceit of agency in regard to these creative works. आत्मनः अविक्रियत्वात् असक्तं फलासङ्गरहितम् अभिमानवर्जितम् aham karomi iti teshu karmasu. He is explaining that. Whatever we have seen in Karma Yoga, he is explaining that in a succinct manner, beautiful. Atmanaha avikriyatvat, because Atma has no action to do. Atma does not have any action to do. Atmanaha avikriyatvat, asaktam, phaladhangarahitam. Asaktam, he says, na, udasenam, asenam, asaktam. Asaktam means not attached. Attached to the fruit. I don't get attached to the fruit. Abhimana varjitam. I don't own that karma. Aham karomi iti teshu karma. I am the doer of this karma. I don't think like that. That is why I am udasena. Now, Shankara is explaining that it can be applied to you also if you take that attitude. He is devoting one full sentence to explain that. अतः अन्यस्यापि कर्तृत्व अभिमान अभावः फलासंग अभावश्च असंबंध कारण अन्यस्यापि for others also other than Paramatma. If you leave aside your ownership of the karma and your attachment to the fruit, then that will be the cause of your detachment. Asambandha karanam. Anyatha karmabhihi badhyate moodhaha poshakaravat iti abhipraya. If you don't do that, you will be bound by the karma like a fool. Poshakaravat, he is giving an example, like a silkworm. Just as a silkworm gets bound within its own web, similarly, you are bound within your web of karma. That is Shankara's explanation. Karma bhi badhyate moodhaha. Poshakaravat. Moodhaha means deluded, confused, foolish. Poshakaravat, like a silkworm. मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते. Yes, this Prakriti is doing all this under my presidentship. Maya Adhyakshena. I am the president. I am the supervisor. Under my supervision, Prakriti, this power of Maya, Sacharacharam Suyate. Sachara Acharam. Chara Acharam. That is moving and non-moving. Chara is moving. Acharam is non-moving. There are hills, there are trees, they don't move. So that they are also getting created at the same time. At the beginning of Brahma's day, Kalpadavu, they are also getting created. That is the Sacharacha. All moving and non-moving objects. Suyate is being created by Prakriti under my supervision. Hetunane nagaunteya jagat viparivartate. That is why this jagat viparivartate, it revolves. It doesn't say static. There is a complete revolution. Keeps on changing continuously. Why? Anena hetunu. What is the reason? Reason is it is happening under my supervision. Because it is happening under my supervision, it keeps changing. That means that Chaitanya to change, the power to change, is being provided by my power, which is Prakriti. Anena hetuna jagat viparivartate he kaunteya. Now, for this, a lot of quotations have been given by Shankara. एको देवः सर्वभूतेषु गूढः सर्वव्यापी सर्वभूतान्तरात्मा कर्माध्यक्षः सर्वभूताधिवासः साक्षी चेता केवलो निर्गुणश्च. Very famous quotation from Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which has similar such mantras plenty. Eko Devaha Sarva Bhuteshu Gudha. There is only one Paramatma. He is hidden inside all living beings. Sarvavyapi is beyond the living beings. He is everywhere, like we saw, air and space. Sarvabhuta Antaratma. He is the inner controller in all living beings. Karmadhyaksha. He is, that is the thing, very important. If you are able to do your karma, whatever karma, it is because of the power he has given you, because you are doing it under his supervision. Karmadhyaksha Sarvabhutadhivasaha. He is living in inside every living being and he is presiding over all the karmas. Presiding over, but he is not participating. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunasya. This is the most important. He is only a witness. He is giving the mental power. Chetaha, Chaitanyam he is giving. But Kevalo Nirgunasya, he is all alone. And he has no attribute, no gunas, no sattva rajas tamas. So this is how Bhagavan is operating, Paramatma is operating. Drishyakarmatva nimitta hi jagataha sarvam pravrittihi aham yadam bhokshe idam nyasyami ityadya avagati nishtha avagatya pasame. That means all the beings have this experience. Aham yadam bhokshe, I am eating this. I am listening to this. I am seeing this. I am enjoying this pleasure. I am enjoying this misery. I am doing this for this purpose. I have known this. This kind of all these experiences. Where does this knowledge come? It comes from Paramatma, who is Antaryami. Yuvatyajaksha Parame Vyoman, like the space, supreme space. He is the presiding authority. सर्वभोग अरभिसम्बन्धिनः अन्यस्य चेतनान्तरस्य अभावे भोक्तृः अन्यस्य अभावात्. There is nothing existing other than Paramatma. So there is no other bhokta, no other enjoyer. There is only one enjoyer. There is only one performer. So that is Paramatma. Anyasya chetanantarasya abhave bhoktuhu anyasya abhavat. Because if you postulate there is a second one, then there is no Advaita. There is only one Paramatma. So one Paramatma is appearing as so many living beings and so many living beings indulging in so many actions appearing. And all the enjoyments of all the actions, all the enjoyments of the living being are actually attributed to Paramatma, though Paramatma is Kevalo Nirgunascha. This is explanation given by Shankara in detail for this shloka. Nachama amdani karmani vibhadranti dhananjaya udatina vadatina masaktam teshu karmasu ayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam ketunane nagavanteya jagat viparivartate. So we'll stop today with this. Any questions?
Those who have questions, please turn on your video and please ask questions. Unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask questions. Any questions, anybody? Any questions?
No questions. Okay.
No questions.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So we close for the day. We meet again tomorrow morning 7 a.m. IST. Sunday morning 7 a.m. IST. We meet again and continue with the same chapter, chapter 9. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Sri Mahatripura Sundarye Jaya Jaya.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Guruji.